What's going on, everybody out there? We have finally came to the final movie of the Harry Potter series here. Bobbitt just finished watching it. Let's bring him up right now. Boom! There we go. Oh. Well, I got Skype figured out. However, it's more of a headache now than it was before with everything. But hey, it is what technology gives us. So, moving right along. Of course, this being the final movie and it being a part 2. At the very beginning of this movie, we get a small recap of what happened in the first movie with the death of Dobby, and we get a small funeral service for him. They're in this little sort of beach or vacation house when we first see our friends, Harry Potter and all of them together, along with Oleander the Wand Vendor and the Goblin from Gringotts. And, of course, little Miss Luna Lovegood. At first, they show Harry sitting by himself in a room, holding a piece of glass. Yes, you can go watch it after the wedding, Aaron. And thank you for subscribing.
No! You can't watch it, you dumb bastard!
So, he's holding a piece of glass Harry is holding a piece of glass in his hand, sitting on the edge of a bed after the funeral service for Dobby, and he looks into this piece of glass and he sees one blue eye staring back at him. Now, naturally, his first thought is Dumbledore. Of course, everybody knows that Dumbledore had unfortunately passed away in the last movie. Aaron says, "Yes, I can, JP. You're not my dad."
Well, why in the fuck did you ask the stupid question for?
He didn't ask a question. He said he was going to watch it after the movie.
Oh, okay. Sorry, excuse me. I thought he was asking if he could watch it. I don't give a fuck what you do. I'm not your fucking dad. That's why I said, no, you can't watch it. Because I thought you were asking if you could watch it. I don't give a shit what you... You jerk off to fucking Hermione for all I care. I don't care what you do. Weirdo.
Anyway, Harry does not bring the idea that this blue-eyed person just might be Dumbledore to Harry or Ron, Hermione and Ron's attention just yet. First, they hold a conversation with, I believe it was Luna first. There, Bobbitt?
It was.
And make sure she's doing okay and anything she had found out. And then they speak to the Goblin Bank teller, I think it is, regarding the Sword of Gryffindor, which happens to be in their possession again. Which, as the very beginning of the movie tells you from this whole series, the Sword of Gryffindor can can present itself to anybody within its need that it deems worthy. So the sword in and of itself is magical. So it's no surprise that... How you doing, Cody? Watching hockey, I see. He's saying go Preds.
Go Badgers.
Yeah, Badgers, baby.
They're watching college football while we do this. So...
I can take over here from me too. Alright, so the creepy little goblin person pretty much tells them there was another sort of Gryffindor, and Lovelace's vault, which turned out to be a fake, and it was planted there by Snape. And so Harry wanted to get to her vault, and pretty much the Goblin dude was like, okay, I'll help you, but you need to give me the sword of Gryffindor.
Right. Echoing how there, Aaron, because Skype has always had somewhat of an echo to it because we don't use headphones. But if it's echoing harder than that, then yeah, we're gonna have to figure something else out. Anyway, and it actually comes into mention that the Sword of Gryffindor is supposed to be in Bellatrix Lestrange's. Lestrange's. Hold on one sec. Bobbitt, why don't you say something real quick?
Hello. Go back, hazards.
Okay, I think I can fix that real quick here. Okay, try again, Bobbitt.
Are we good now? Hello?
Okay, try again, Bobbitt.
Are we good now? Hello?
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure something else out. This is the whole new way that they're doing things with Skype and NDI and XSplit. It's just why? So hold on here one sec. Come on. Alright, let's try that one more time there, Bobbitt.
Alrighty, I hope we're good now. Maybe. If we're lucky.
Well, I have to play around with it. You guys are just going to have to deal with the echo for tonight, unfortunately. So if we come to find out that the Sword of Gryffindor is in the bank vault of Bellatrix Lestrange, and supposedly her property, quote unquote, her property. So, with that being said, they finally realize, oh shit, we need to do something about that. Because they also come to the realization eventually throughout this movie that it's the Sword of Gryffindor and a fang from the basilisk that are the only things that can destroy any one of the Horcruxes. Have fun at the wedding, Aaron. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. It's also at this time that they find out about as the new movie for Harry Potter is about to hit theaters, the crimes of Grindelwald. They find out just a little bit more about Grindelwald and Dumbledore from Oleander. So that adds a whole nother mystery to the whole freaking pile that we already have going on. From there, we then see them try to formulate a plan. Bobbitt, my memory's a little fuzzy on the plan itself. Do you want to take over from there and...
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The plan to get the swords.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Basically, what it is Hermione is dressed as the chick that has that vault. Is it Lovelace or what was her name again?
Bellatrix.
Bellatrix, thank you.
Sirius's cousin.
And Ron is dressed up as,
I think he was Greymane.
Yes. And meanwhile, Harry and the Goblin dude was in the Cloak of Invisibility. So they try to sneak in, and immediately Hermione just blows it. Like, they get to the counter, and they could tell right away that she wasn't Bellatrix at all. And so Harry wisely sneaks up beside of the bank dude and does a spell that messes with his mind and makes him think that Hermione's actually Bellatrix. So they go in, and of course it shows that little mine scene where they're going to the vault and all that shit. You got it from here, Heather?
I do. At this point, before they get too far into the vaults of the bank, they hear a whole bunch of bells ringing, and they see a whole bunch of bright lights, and that's when they see a dragon being held captive. And there's a bunch of the goblins ringing the bells to get the dragon to stay away as they went past. Shortly after that, they go through this magical waterfall, which then completely rids them of their disguise. So they're kind of screwed if they want to get back out. But luckily, the trio always has an idea of what to do and when to do it. So they sit there. They get to the vaults. They exchange the Sword of Gryffindors. One for the fake, one for the real. And as they go to escape, they also set free the dragon. And that's how they get out. They fly out on the dragon. Which is not Hermione's most favorite thing in the world. She hates flying. Now that they have the real Sword of Gryffindor, they are now planning to get the rest of the Horcruxes. Now, it's also at this time that Harry looks into that little piece of glass again, and again sees that glaring blue eye.
I don't have the real Sword of Gryffindor. They gave it to Griphook. Griphook, because remember the part where they land in the fucking, they jump off the fucking, and all of a sudden he has that flashback. He kills Griphook, and he's holding onto the sword, and the sword disappears. They actually gave him the real sword. They didn't have the fake sword. The fake sword was in
Bellatrix, yes.
Because it was hidden by, or it was put in there by, it was given to her by Professor Snape. So, there you go.
There we go. Moving on. Again, Harry sees that glaring blue eye in that piece of glass, and That's when he sits there and finally tells them that he thinks it's Dumbledore. Well, they figure out how did they figure out where the piece of glass came from, Bobbitt?
Basically, they end up in this one house, and Hermione is looking through this mirror, and when Harry is looking through that piece of glass, he's actually looking at Hermione.
There we go. This is when they get back to, I think it was somewhere off of Diagon Alley. Was it back in the Wizarding World?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay. It's at that point somebody sits there and starts a commotion, and then next thing you know, the three of them are ushered into this dark little home by a fairly large dude. And no, it does not turn out to be Hagrid. Instead, it turns out to be Albuford, who is Albus Dumbledore's brother. So Harry seeing the blue eye in that piece of glass kind of makes sense. The Neighbor's a good show.
At least it wasn't his brown eye.
Yeah, exactly. At this time, of course, they learn even more that, the two brothers were had a hated relationship, but it was a regretfully hated relationship on Dumbledore's part. He wanted to be more with his brother, but his brother could never forgive him for a certain accident. Bobbitt, you want to fill them in on what accident that was?
Yeah, what it was is when Dumbledore was trying to be a wizard, he accidentally kills their sister.
And she was a very young age. They show a giant portrait of her standing on a pathway. Hermione obviously recognizes her, and of course, now this also is going to be tied in with the Grindelwald Crimes movie because of the fact, yes, because of the fact that it was because of Grindelwald that Dumbledore was actually starting to become more powerful with his magic, as it's written in the book. Albuford sits there and fills them in on what's been going on in the school and what's been going on around town with everything, and then they finally decide, well, and that's when they realize that the Horcruxes that they need are back in the school. So they have to figure out a way into the school without being captured. So with that, Albuford looks at the painting and says, "You know what to do." And she walks off through the painting, and a few minutes later she comes walking back, and the painting opens up, revealing a dark tunnel, which in that dark tunnel, lo and behold, comes out everybody's favorite late blooming actor as of late, Neville Longbottom.
No, not the fucking wrestler either, Aaron.
Because of how he looks.
I know.
At that point, he stops, looks, and goes, "Well, geez, it's Harry." He was not expecting it, but hey. It's at this point that they realize things have definitely changed for the worse at the school, and that's before they even enter the tunnel to go to the school. So, eventually they figure out what they're going to do, and they're going to resurrect DA in a way, because there's going to be an all-out war, and they're going to need every available wand they can get.
Oh,
excuse me. They travel through the tunnel and they come out into... Was it the Gryffindor common room?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So they come into the Gryffindor common room. Everything except for blankets and pillows had been stripped from the room. So they were basically living in a prison. So that's another major sign that things are not going very well at the school at all. We then cut to a scene where we have now Headmaster Snape addressing the students, telling them, if you see Harry Potter, bring him forward, basically.
Because he was spotted in Hogsmeade.
Yes. Because he was spotted.
Which is where Alba Ford lives.
Yes. So, he was spotted in the area. If you see him, bring him to me directly. And it's also, with that scene, you see everybody is standing. There's no more of those giant tables, no floating candles. It's a very dark, dank place. It does not feel like the old Hogwarts anymore. So, they start sneaking around the school. I believe they figure out how to get the basilisk fangs. But, of course, they got to get back into the Chamber of Secrets in order to get the basilisk to begin with. Now, for this, they split up. Harry goes on his own to go and get the crown of Ravenclaw, because that's one of the Horcruxes. And Harry and Hermione and Ron go off to the Chamber of Secrets to collect the basilisk fangs. It's at this moment that Harry, after he's ducked around the school a bit and finally finds the ghost of Ravenclaw. Oh, excuse me. They collect the fangs up and they hear a rumbling, and that's when they stand there and go, "What did we just do?" That scared look on their face, only to have a giant rush of water come spilling out of Neptune's mouth in like a tidal wave, basically disintegrating the basilisk's body. And from there, that's when we get the first kiss on screen between Ron and Hermione.
It was like, oh.
So with a handful of the fangs in her bag, they go running back up and meet up with Neville and Luna, I believe, at this point, while Harry is still trying to get the ghost of Ravenclaw to relinquish not only the crown, but the location of the crown. And she's not very forgiving in that, because she understands the dark power within this crown. So she doesn't want to give it up because she's afraid he's going to use it in a way that should not be used. She doesn't realize he wants to destroy it. It's at this point, do they already have the goblet?
They destroyed the goblet right before that rush of water came.
Okay. So
that's what caused that whole water thing.
Right. Harry finds out that the crown is in the room of requirement. Go figure. Everybody's favorite room to hide things. So, of course, off he goes to go and try and find it within the room of requirement. Only at this point, Malfoy and his goons already know he's definitely within the school, and they definitely now know where to trap him. Thus starts a little rivalry fight between them within the room of requirement. Bobbitt, you remember much of that scene?
Yeah. Basically, Harry goes in and like he's searching around for the crown, and then that's when Draco's idiots goes in there, and I can't remember how it happened, but one of the idiots summoned a fire. Oh yeah, it was to scare Harry, and so they set off a fucking fire snake thing inside the room, like completely starts burning it down. Well, the guy who done the spell passes away, and Harry saves Draco and the other guy. Well, Harry gets the crown, and that's when Hermione and Ron is looking at the map, going, "All right, well, wait a minute, he was here. Where did he go?" And they go, and then that's when they realize that he was in the room of requirement, because he just disappeared from the map. Anytime you're inside that room, you're disappeared off the map.
Because technically, it's not a room of the map.
Exactly, and so they use I think it was the basilisk thing, destroys the crown, throws it in the burning room, and the crown and the room is destroyed.
So there we have that. Now we are down to the final Horcruxes, which are the two hardest ones to have to deal with within this movie because of what they are exactly. So, it's at this moment that Voldemort shows up on the grounds outside of the school, and the Death Eater symbol shows up above the school, and I believe it's at this moment that he starts giving the school the ultimatum.
Yep.
Yeah, he magically transcends his voice into the school, telling them, nobody will be harmed if you just hand Harry Potter over. If not, there will be great dread brought down upon the school grounds. And it's at that point that Professor McGonagall sits there and basically goes, you know what, fuck this, we're done. We're fighting back finally. She proves how much of a badass she is. So the teachers go around putting up a shield around the school. Some of the more advanced students go around helping out the teachers. And it's also at this moment that we find out that the school had special implements put in place, which nobody even noticed was there. And that was the giant statues.
Yeah. I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, exactly. They were so well hidden, and it's just like, wow, the stuff you really could do with magic. So, McGonagall the teachers go around waking those guardians up. They take their stations around the school. The shield is up in place, and they just hunker down and start preparing. At this moment, we also have families coming in to help in a way. You have the Order of the Phoenix showing up. You have the Weasleys. You have Shacklebolt. You have Remus. You have Tonks showing up. Everybody is there to help and do what they can. And of course, from the students, you have Dumbledore's army as well at every entrance possible that they could cover. From that, they wait out the time limit that they're given from Voldemort. And of course, as soon as that time limit is up, the attack begins. And that's when we find out that Voldemort has rallied his own army of giants, trolls, what? Giant spiders, yes.
And Death Eaters.
And Death Eaters. Yes. It seems that Aragog's children are not quite happy with the humans of Hogwarts, so they wanted to...
They think they killed
Right. They think that Hogwarts were the ones that killed him. But, of course, we all know that's not true. He was very old.
He just died of old age.
Yep.
I want to mention this real fast. This is a key moment. When they destroy the magical barrier to go in, the Elder Wand starts cracking.
Yes.
It's a key moment for when, especially after the final battle.
Yes. Yes. Voldemort realizes there's something not quite right because the wand does indeed crack. Which any well-built wand, if it's under the proper ownership, would not behave like that. So, of course, he's figured that out, but he's like, you know what, we're almost done with this war anyway, so I'll just continue using it until the end, and then I'll just steal another wand. Go ahead, Bobbitt.
Okay, so Voldemort, so somehow Voldemort finds out that the Elder Wand only responds to the person that it belongs to. Well, Voldemort thinks that since he killed Dumbledore, that if he kills Snape, because, okay, Snape killed Dumbledore. So Voldemort thought, okay, if I kill Snape, this wand will become mine, and I can get the full power out of it. So he's talking to Lucius Malfoy, going, okay, I need you to find Snape so I can kill him, so I can have the power of the Elder Wand.
He doesn't necessarily need to
kill.
Hold on, Bobby.
Like 2 scenes later, what?
He doesn't necessarily need to kill him. He needs to disarm him. But yes, Voldemort will kill somebody, because if you listen to Harry, well, that's coming.
Yes.
You don't necessarily need to kill somebody. You need to disarm them of that said wand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Did you want to get to the major death now, or what?
We definitely can go on from where you left off, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, okay, well, I can't remember what building it was. It was in, I think it was like a harbor type building.
I think it was the greenhouse, actually.
Yes. And
The boathouse.
The boathouse.
And Voldemort tells Snape, he was like, all right, well, you've been a good servant to me. Now I need to kill you. And of course, Snape is pleading his case, and Voldemort's not having any of it. And Voldemort sends his Snape to kill Snape. You got it from here, Heather?
I do.
Alrighty.
So at that moment, Voldemort and Nagini slither off into the shadows to continue on with their war. Harry, who was in hiding and had seen the horrific scene happen, comes out, climbs through the window, comes up to Snape, and there's no words exchanged between them other than Snape sitting there saying, "Take it, take it."
Take these.
Meaning his tears, which turn out to be his memories. And it's at this moment that Harry scrambles around, finds the cleanest thing he could, captures the tears, and just stays with Snape until his last breath, which, of course, that just destroys everybody in the movie theater every single time. We then see Harry sneaking off to Dumbledore's office, where the pence is still sitting. Which, as we all remember, the magical pence is a bowl filled with basically magical water. He pours Snape's tears into that water, dips his head in, and views the memories that Snape so lovingly held on to all these years. And it's at that moment that we all realize okay, Snape was being a dick on purpose, but not for the purpose of revenge. He was being a dick on purpose to protect. Because the memories that are seen are of Snape finding Lily's body in the house after Voldemort's attack and just being completely devastated. Which we all did not think he was capable of being, because he was so well at his stoic and pompous nature at times. And it's at that moment that we find out that he was madly in love with Lily, and he loved Harry as a son and would do anything to protect him, in which he gave his life to protect Harry. Only thing is, now Harry must give his life, but we're coming up to that soon. With this new vision of Snape within his mind, Harry sets out, and basically he is Mr. Anybody fucks with me, I am destroying them at this point. Because he has just had enough of everything. He's finally figured out all of the lies that were put in place to protect him and his psyche, pretty much, through his childhood. Just to have it all turned around on his 17th birthday and go, yeah, everything you thought, no, that's wrong. Which, that happens to a lot of us at 17. Excuse me. From there, we see that everybody's heavily within battle. In every corridor, every hallway, every room, there's somebody fighting somebody. We're seeing a different side of Neville at this point. He's not the scared little boy anymore. He is now a full-grown man fighting for his home, basically, and being a brave person for once. And it's at that time we also sit there and see that, you know, there might be a little something going on between him and Luna.
Yeah.
They finally get to a point where they're at a stalemate within the battle. And now Voldemort thinks he's also the most powerful because he now has all the power of the Elder Wand. Because Snape is now dead. So it's at this point that the fighting is ceased for the dead to be collected. And, well, before I do that, one of the best scenes of this movie, one of my favorite scenes, is Mrs. Weasley and Bellatrix Lestrange. Oh my god, I fucking died laughing and just like, oh my god, they finally did it.
They didn't do that until close to the end. That was in the second battle.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Alright. Because...
No, it's the second battle. Because it's towards the end.
Moving on. At this point, they're collecting up their dead. They're re-energizing themselves, essentially. And it's at this point that Harry sits there and separates off and goes out into the woods. He's still holding the snitch at this point. The golden snitch that he had gotten from Dumbledore's will. It was the first snitch he had ever caught. And basically what it is snitch holds memory. And if you rub it, that memory comes back. However, Harry did not catch his first snitch with his hand. So in order to figure out the riddle, I open at the close. And to basically regain the memory, quote unquote, or the prize that Dumbledore had hidden for him, he had to touch it with his mouth. Because he swallowed the first snitch that he ever caught. Excuse me. That's with just regular water. Jesus. At that moment, a seam forms around the very center of the snitch, and it pops open, and inside is the resurrection stone. He takes the resurrection stone out and holds it and thinks about who he would love to see the most. Bobbitt, you want to fill everybody in on who shows up?
Yeah. His parents,
Sirius.
yeah, Sirius Black, and, that one chick, I can't remember her name.
It's his mom, his dad, Sirius, and Remus, and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it, Remus.
So, with that being said, he stands there talking to them, getting final words of encouragement, and they all tell him, no matter what, we are going to be behind you, helping you.
Well, they aren't going to help him.
Well, in a sense.
He asked them, this is what he said. He said, will you be with me? And they say, we will be by your side the whole time. We will never leave your side. We will be here always. I think that's essentially what she said.
Right.
They can't help.
Well, they did in the cemetery.
The cemetery was a different thing.
Anyway, from there, he sits there and says, okay, that's all I need. They disappear. He leaves the resurrection stone within the forest. And he heads back towards the school. Now, at this point, Voldemort had everybody basically lined up, telling them, give me Harry.
Oh, you totally skipped over.
I did not yet, no.
Did he go back to school?
Where did he go then?
They were in the forest. He went and faced Voldemort in the forest.
Bobbitt? Take it from here.
He's right. After, once he got to the forest, he went and fought Voldemort.
Because he knew that he had to be sacrificed.
Because when he stuck his head in the water, it was revealed that Harry was the Horcrux.
Yes.
Yep.
So from there, Harry is in the final battle, well, quote unquote, final battle with Voldemort, in which he ends up perishing.
Yes.
If I could talk today.
Voldemort kills Harry. In a sense. But there's more to it than that.
I'm getting there. At that moment of his death, so to speak, Harry's consciousness, I want to say, is dragged off into limbo, where he is met by a pure white Hogwarts train station. Whole bunch of steam around. You got the Hogwarts Express. You got bright white benches all around. He's confused to all hell as to what's going on, as anybody would be, looking all around, and then he turns when he hears a familiar voice.
Well, he looks under the bench first.
He hears basically a groaning noise, and looks under the bench and sees basically what was the part of Voldemort that was within him.
Oh, God. That part creeped the fuck out of me. Oh.
From there, he hears Dumbledore sitting there saying, "Quite a pitiful thing, isn't it?"
Brave man.
Yes. He has a very heartfelt and much needed conversation with Dumbledore within this. Bobbitt, you want to take over what the conversation was mostly about? Or do you need help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So basically, Dumbledore and Harry are talking about how. I'm trying to remember. Alright.
Harry asks Dumbledore if he's dead. That's essentially what he wanted to know, if he was dead or not.
Yes, and if all this was in his head or not.
And he said, "Of course it's in your head."
And then Dumbledore goes, "Oh, if it's in your head, does it not make it real?"
That's true.
Yes. Does it still make it not real? The conversation goes a bit deeper as to what Harry's next move is. And, of course, they first walk down the train platform, and now they're walking back. And they come back to the creature that was the part of Voldemort that was left inside of Harry. And he sits there and says, "This is the one thing he did not mean to create. You are something he did not mean to create." And so now, from this point forward, it's your choice. You can either stay here with me, or you can go back and help your friends.
He says he has the wand. He has the wand. I have nothing to beat him with. And he goes, "True." But what they're forgetting is there's one more Horcrux left to defeat, and then he is just nothing more than a mere wizard.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And it's at that point that there's a bright flash, and we come back to the real life, where Hagrid is being forced to carry the body of Harry back to the school. Now, at this point, everybody is lined up outside where they can see the travesty going on. As Hagrid's standing off to the side, still holding a lifeless Harry,
who is not dead.
Right. Voldemort calls forward Malfoy and congratulates him on being such a wonderful, wonderful...
There's one part that you forgot to mention. Malfoy's mother leans over and says to Harry, "Is he alive? Is Draco alive?" And he nods his head ever so subtly so that he can't tell, Voldemort can't tell that he's really not dead. So she knows, Malfoy's mother knows that Harry's not dead. She just wants to know if Draco is still alive. So in a sense, to be honest with you, I think, and I don't know what the book said, was she in on this the whole fucking time? She just wanted out of this fucking shit or what? And this is where the book gets really important.
Well, that's why in the book, she created the unbreakable bond with Snape to protect Malfoy.
Okay.
Because she wanted to protect him and she wanted him away from all of this.
Okay. So
but he wanted to be like his father.
Gotcha.
He wanted to prove to his father that he is a good wizard. He is a true blood good wizard.
Okay, fair enough. You're good.
From there, we get the family of the Malfoys basically back together because Malfoy comes forward. And Voldemort sits there and says, you're a good boy, you've done a great job for me. And I foresee many great years of great service from you. Or something like that. And that's when Narcissa comes forward, puts her arm around his shoulder, looks at Voldemort, and just that stony look of whatever you think is happening is not really happening. And they walk off and leave the school grounds. Then, as I think it was Neville who was called forward.
No, Neville came forward.
Came forward,
said,
that's right.
Does anybody care to join our ranks. Voldemort did. And he said, I've got something to say, and that's when Voldemort's like kind of pissed off.
Yes.
But he's like, I can't, and what is your name? And they say, and then he blah blah blah. They make fun of him because his name is Neville Longbottom and all this shit.
Well, actually, because they remember his parents and what they had done to his parents.
Yes. They gave him the Cruciatus card. No.
Yes.
Was it the Cruciatus card?
Yes.
Go ahead.
From there, I believe Neville is basically blasted towards the back.
Well, he pulls out the sword of Gryffindor.
Yeah, from the Sorting Hat.
From the Sorting Hat. Pulls out the sword of Gryffindor, goes at him, and that's when Voldemort does that whole fucking, I don't know what curse it was.
No, when Neville moves forward, that's when Harry wakes up, and that's when the battle starts.
Yeah, but then Voldemort does the whole thing with Neville. That's when Harry comes out, when he does the thing with Neville.
Yeah, because you got to remember, Neville is blown back somehow, so this way he's on the stairs where Nagini gets her head chopped off.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Neville is blown back. Harry's awake. He gets a wand from somebody. I don't remember who. I think it was Hermione. I think he got Hermione's wand. But
he did.
Okay. From there, he sits there and tells them, go get the snake. So Ron and Hermione run up to the stairs to try and get the snake with the basilisk fangs. But of course, the snake being quick, it strikes at them, keeping them at bay. And at that moment, we see Neville as a hero, because he wakes up from being blasted away. Sword of Gryffindor still right there at his grasp. He gets up, runs over, slices the head off of Nagini, nice and clean.
The Nagini just disappears. The Horcrux is dead, and that is the last Horcrux.
That is the very last one.
And then the real weakness of Voldemort shows, because now all of his 7 or 8 pieces of his soul are now dead, and it's just him.
Yep, he is now again just a normal wizard. It's also at this point that Bellatrix Lestrange is facing off against Mrs. Weasley. But first, she sits there and zaps Ginny with a very minor curse, in a way. I guess you could say it was. Or it was just a glancing blow of a curse. Mrs. Weasley walks up, "That's my daughter, you bitch!" It's like, yes! And then all of a sudden, you just see her go. You see Mrs. Weasley let go of her own curse that just shocks the hell out of Bellatrix Lestrange.
That kills her.
Yes.
She gave her the. I can't remember what the curse was.
Avada Kedavra, I think it was.
No, she didn't do. Oh, did she?
She might have.
No, because that's.
No, there were no words spoken, so it couldn't have been.
The Avada Kedavra is green. Is a green.
Yes, but also you have to speak the words for that curse. But anyway, gets rid of her, and then we have finally the Hogwarts people finally starting to take control and overpower the Death Eaters, because at this point, giants, trolls, and spiders have given up on Voldemort and just said, "Fuck it, we're going home."
Well, half of them left after fucking Harry came back to life. Got the fuck out of there because then they realized they were fucked.
Yep.
Excuse my language.
And then from there, we have the final face-off between Voldemort and Harry, where we learn quite quickly that Voldemort does indeed know something's not right. He can feel it. Because you can see him start to get slightly panicked as he and Harry start trading spells and different stuns and stuff like that between each other within this battle.
Yep.
And then eventually, Harry gains the upper hand and vanquishes Voldemort, finally, once and for all.
It's a true story.
And with that, the final battle being finally won, all the Death Eaters are collected up and basically held hostage until the Ministry can come take care of them. We then get to Harry, Ron, and Hermione standing on the very tattered, very, very battle-worn bridge leading to Hogwarts. Harry is holding the Elder Wand in his hand. Probably holding. Oh, jeez. And he sits there and he says, Bobby, you remember what he says?
Yeah, he's like, that's the, Ron goes, that's the Elder Wand, that's the most powerful one there is. And, well, and Harry pretty much goes, this one never belonged to Voldemort. It belonged to Draco Malfoy, because Draco Malfoy was the one who disarmed Dumbledore. And when I disarmed Draco in the Draco Manor the other day, this one is now mine.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So as you see, following the path of power there, Harry is the rightful owner of the Elder Wand, which is one of the Deathly Hallows.
Hence why Snape had to be the one to kill Dumbledore.
So, from there, Ron, of course, is astonished. Hermione is looking at Harry like, well, what are you going to do next? Like the parental type that she is. And then Harry promptly sits there, looks at the wand, and then just snaps it. Clean in half. And throws it off of the bridge. The only remaining Deathly Hallow now that's in the hands of somebody and is not destroyed is the invisibility cloak. Which, of course, that's one thing you would definitely want to keep.
Yeah.
From there, we have them heading back to the school to try and collect everything together, sorting it. We see now all the dead people, all the people that had passed, and it's quite heartbreaking to see some of the characters that they killed off. But at the same time, it makes a lot of sense that they killed them off at the same time.
Yep.
So,
not everybody can live through a war.
Exactly. And in a way, it was a relief to see one of them pass on anyway. And that was Remus Lupin. And that's because he had been suffering so long with his werewolf condition that he wanted it to end, but did not want to end it himself. So what better way to go than ending in battle while protecting those you love?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So, now there was something in the book about Tonks that was not in the movie, although she tried in the movie to tell. Were you able to pick up on it there, Bobbitt?
No.
Me neither. I don't remember.
Anytime Tonks and Remus were at the Weasley house, she sat there and she kept trying to say something. But Remus would cut her off very, very abruptly. Because she was trying to even tell him. Apparently she was pregnant.
Oh, yeah. I caught on to that because then they were like, what about...
Right.
Which they do tell the story of, in fact, who takes him under... Who takes their son? And I can't remember his name.
Oh.
Somebody adopts him, and I can't remember who it is. I know that Harry watches over him.
Yes.
But I don't remember who adopts him. That's one thing I don't remember.
I think it might have been the Weasleys.
It could have been, but I'm not sure.
We'll have to look that up and fill you in on that later. Oh, excuse me. From there, that time period of the movie ends. We are all in triumph, and it moves on down the line 19 years. We see a very familiar trolley cart filled with very familiar luggage. And of course we see a cage with an owl. And we see another trolley cart with very familiar luggage and a few very familiar items on it as well, right behind it. Camera pans out and we have a very lovely family of about 10 people, it looks like. At least it feels like, because of course we have Hermione and Ron with their son, and we have Harry and Ginny with their son, approaching for their first year at Hogwarts. Now, of course, as we all remember from the very first movie, to get on the platform 9 3/4, you must run headlong right into the barrier between 9 and 10. So, of course, Harry's son is a little nervous about that and pretends to have to tie his shoe. Harry picks up on it right away, of course, and pretends to tie his shoe as the others go on ahead of them, so that they could have a little private talk. Harry's son is worried that he's not going to be a very good wizard, and it's at that moment that we find out what Harry has named his son. I feel so sorry for that kid, I'm going to tell you that right now. Bobbitt, you want to fill everybody in on the name?
Albertus Severus Potter.
There we go.
Albus Severus Potter.
Albus Dumbledore.
Yep.
He sits there and says, "You were named after two very strong, intelligent, and caring men." Brave men.
But he was afraid that he was going to get picked by Slytherin.
Yes.
And he said Slytherin will then have
be better
gained a very very good wizard. One of the bravest men I have ever known was the head of Slytherin.
Yes. And of course we all know that was Professor Snape.
Or Severus.
So with that, they both take a calming breath, get back up, and look at the wall. They look at each other and go, "We'll do this together." They run through, get through onto the platform. They meet up with their friends, and they get everybody onto the train. And that's the end of the movie.
The pans out with them three standing there. Four,
actually,
if
yes.
you want to count Ginny. But it's based on those three.
Because, of course, as we all know, the next book to come out even, is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Yeah.
But that is the end of this series. Bobbitt, would you like to reveal our next project?
Yeah. We're going to go to the galaxy far, far away. Star Wars.
And for that, we will be doing the saga of the movies.
And Rogue One in between episode 3 and episode.
Yes, Rogue One will definitely be where it should be within the actual timeline of the story itself. So between 3 and 4, we will get Rogue One, because Rogue One is the tale of how they got the plans for the Death Star to begin with.
Solo's not so much, even though it is. If that makes sense.
What?
We'll talk about that movie after.
Really, the only thing that came out of Solo that really would have tied it to any one of the movies is the Kessel Run.
The end of the fucking movie.
Yeah, with Darth Maul.
Yes.
That too, yes. But with that, we will be having Trekipedia and JP joining us on the show more regularly, because this is a topic all four of us can sit there and hound to death.
So we'll do the best we can.
So with that being said, that is our next project. Keep your eyes out for that. Definitely keep in touch. We will see you tomorrow on JP's channel for the Packers versus Lions game, and that's at noon.
Yeah, it's noon my time, so it'll be 1 o'clock Eastern. Trek will be joining me because he's a fucking Lions fan.
And he's in the chat.
You fucking cunt. But, so, yeah, that we'll be doing that. And we'll do like we did. I'll go over a little recap of every game. I'll give you a little more in depth on each game on why I think who's going to win. And then
I will be giving the scores.
Heather will be giving me the scores. Bobbitt will be here after halftime, and he'll be watching. I don't know what game he'll be watching, but whatever game he's watching, he'll keep us updated on it. And
It's going to be the Carolina Giants game.
Okay. Keep me updated on that game. Go Giants. So anyway, I'm kidding, Bobbitt. But we'll keep track of that. I will not be able to watch the Brewer game. I will only be able to listen to it. So, because it's on MLB Network, I don't have MLB Network. But I will not be streaming that game. I will end the stream there, and then I will be listening to the game and probably
just hanging out,
playing video games or something.
Because he does not have to work Monday.
I'll watch it for you.
Well, I'll be able to listen to it. I'll be able to listen to Bob Euchre. I'm okay with that.
There you go.
So with that being said, y'all have a great night, and we shall see you tomorrow, and then again on Monday and Tuesday for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown reviews, respectively.
Oh yeah, that fucking super shit show sucked balls.
And that's our entire review on that show. That's all we're doing for it. Honestly,
I'll go over it a little bit on fucking Monday, but it sucked. It wasn't even a fucking pay-per-view.
It was garbage.
There we go. So, everybody have a great night.